My name is Colonel Alan Palin, and I've gathered together a team for a mission like no other, each member handpicked for their specialist skills. I'm Colonel Alan Palin, and I don't exist.
Jesus, what's that? There's a guy in Yorkshire had a caravan with a cellar behind him.
In 1964, Warminster came under attack from an entity which became known as the Warminster Thing. Soon, hundreds claimed to have seen the thing, and thousands gathered on the hills, hoping for an encounter of their own. This is the story of our attempts to find out what happened in Warminster 40 years ago. And the story of our attempt to see the thing for ourselves.
Jesus, what's that? Sorry. Oh, it's gone. Oh!
Their names are Micah and Joab, and they're travellers in time.
8,000 people came on the bus.
If I was you, I wouldn't get involved. No good will come of it. What good is it doing? All these things landing there are not doing any good, are they? Do you know there have been sightings again? Lights along the A36? The people signalled with torches and the objects faded. They will respond.
It's 1964, and local journalist Arthur Shuttlewood is about to put Warminster on the map. In amongst the reports of weddings and funerals was something altogether stranger. Warminster had become a magnet for strange visitations, odd lights which haunted the local hills. After a dramatic encounter of his own, Shuttlewood crossed the fence, from journalist to ardent believer. His book, The Warminster Mystery, published in 1967, would change the town forever. We begin not in the 60s, but the early 70s. In 1973, Steve Dewey and his friends were 15 when they came across a book which showed Warminster had a secret past.
One of my friends picked up an Arthur Shuttlewood book, probably The Warminster Mystery, about 1973 or 72. And that's when we got into it. Started reading Arthur's books, realised that Cradle Hill was only a mile away, well, a mile and a half away from my friend's house, and started wandering up here.
You found out that basically this stuff had been happening here, you know, in your own town. That was quite a big deal, actually, when you read back on the books at the time in the 60s. What did you do next? What did you do to kind of follow your interest in that?
To follow the interest, we became sky watchers. And really, that was the only thing we became at first. We used to wander up here at night, spooking ourselves out, looking for UFOs. And then other stuff began to happen, not in the sky, but in our heads. And not in a spooky... No, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? Stuff began to happen in our heads, oh my God! No! We started to read stuff, that's what I'm trying to say. We started to be influenced by other books, apart from Arthur's. I didn't really recognise Arthur until 1976 as a person on the hill. And that was the reason I recognised Arthur then, was because a group of people were standing around him and he started flashing his torch at the sky for the first time since I'd been coming up here. And if you've read Arthur's books, you'll know that he was able to signal UFOs. That particular experience was interesting because everybody agreed that Arthur had successfully communicated with the spaceship, which to our eyes was a helicopter. No.
Definitely a helicopter, yeah?
Well, you know...
Absolutely no doubt, yeah? It's a
absolutely
helicopter.
no doubt in my mind,
Yeah.
and my mate who was with me that night,
Yeah.
that it was a helicopter. We'd lived in Warminster long enough to recognise most kinds of military craft from a distance. And, you know, we were only, I don't know, 16 or something. So we weren't confident enough to go, Arthur, it's a helicopter. So we actually stood at the back of this gang of people in very loud voices saying to each other, don't you think that's a helicopter, John? And John going, yeah, I think it's a helicopter. That night, when we were walking back, we did actually catch up with Arthur, and we recognised him now. We said to him, look, you know, what's with the UFO? That's a helicopter. And he said, oh, I've seen many things up here, and one of them is that UFOs disguise themselves as terrestrial craft, so that we don't recognise them. But I can, essentially.